like the bread of presence. Can I get an amen? Final verse 9 in this passage. This bread, it shall be for Aaron and his sons, and they shall eat it in the holy place. They are going to consume and eat the bread of the presence of God. Gee, I wonder what this is alluding to. For it is most holy to him from the offerings of the Lord made by fire, by a perpetual statute. It is the most, say most holy. Come on, say most holy. This is not just, oh, this is separated and wonderful to me. This is most holy to God. So only the priests get to eat it in this place. And do you know there was a whole ceremony around replacing the bread every Sabbath? They would have 4 priests. Four priests would bring in new elements. One had one stack of bread. The other had another stack of bread. And do you know that in Jewish teaching, do you know how much weight of bread, of showbread, combined of the 12 loaves was made every single week? Probably not, because why would you know that? They estimate about 75 pounds of bread was on this table. 75 pounds of bread every week. And they would take one stack off, set it aside to eat it in the tabernacle and the temple later on. And when they took those loaves off, instantly another priest would put the next loaves on. And they would take the second. Of course, they would remove the frankincense from the top. And then what would they do with the frankincense? I'm so glad you asked. So glad you asked. They would take the frankincense and they would burn that week's frankincense on the altar of incense. Now, the altar of incense, this is not the normal incense that they would burn on the altar of incense. Frankincense was only burnt on the altar of incense in its pure form during this time of eating the showbread. So they would take the frankincense off and take that old frankincense, take it to the altar, and they would put it on the altar of incense, and the fragrance of frankincense would consume the sanctuary. And they would take the loaves off, put a new loaf on, put new frankincense on the bread. And then the priests would all come together and gather. There's a lot of priests that would come in because 75 pounds of bread, hello. Lots of priests would come in and they would eat every single morsel of bread together while the sanctuary was filled with the aroma of frankincense. And they would come out smelling like frankincense. Why is that so important? I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's okay. When they would do this, they would smell and exude the presence of God that they had taken in. So it was on the inside and on the outside. They radiated that they were just in the presence of God and took the presence of God within themselves. That's what you're supposed to do when we come to the communion table. Can I get an amen? People are supposed to recognize a difference. You have been in the presence of God. Yes, we were in church, but we worship the Lord through communion. You don't have to say that. They're just supposed to recognize it. Now,